All right, as you can see by the title of this video, dynamic creative is now dead. And it's not to say that it's not performing well. In fact, it was one of our best performing ad launching structures, especially at the creative level. But you know, when anything is really good, Facebook decides to destroy every advertiser's hopes and dreams and get rid of it or change it and make something slightly different that a lot of times ends up being worse, but that's supposed to be better longer term. I don't know. Anyways, let's dive into it. So I'm in my ad account right now, just like a test ad account. I don't use this for any clients, any of my brands, nothing like that. And as you can see, there's this dynamic creative toggle. And so what dynamic creative has done up until this point is you are able to upload multiple marketing assets such as images or videos, multiple headlines, multiple call to actions, multiple primary text, etc., to create all of these different ad combinations without having to create each individual ad in order to test those variables. So it's a very practical and efficient way of testing those variables and letting Facebook do all of the heavy lifting for you and optimizing that best ad creative format in a way that best serves the customer. Now, as you can see, dynamic creative will be going away soon. And so what a very popular tactic was before was the 3-2-2 method. So you take 3 individual pieces of content that are generally the same ad concept, but that are slight variations. Think like a hook variation or a headline variation for a static image ad. And you would take 3 of those and you'd combine it with like 2 headlines and 2 primary texts. So you get, I don't know what that is. It might be like 10 or 20 different ad combinations and variations. But that generally performed very well for most advertisers at a high level and even for, lower level advertisers and like drop shippers. But as you can see, there's been a change at the ad level to something called flexible ad format. Not all ad accounts have access to this right now, to my knowledge, but we've recently had access on a handful of our accounts for the last month or two. And we've been experimenting around with this. And like, in short, I don't like it as much personally, but the performance is very similar to dynamic creative. And there are only a couple of small key differences, which I'll go over here in a second. So I found this really great article that described it probably in a better way than I'm able to explain it. And so they're phasing out dynamic creative and are introducing this flexible ad format. And so some of our accounts, we've actually lost dynamic creatives. Others, we still have it, or we're able to duplicate existing campaigns that are in that dynamic creative format and are continuously able to launch new dynamic creatives, but only if we duplicate an existing campaign that has it. Now with the flexible ad format, we'll be able to upload up to 10 images or videos. And now you can add different combinations. So you can have like 3 videos and 3 images if you wanted to. However, that's not how we're doing it. And it's likely not how we're going to be doing it at any point in the future, because one key difference with the flexible formats is it'll actually create things like carousel ads, which never happened with dynamic creative. And so now flexible format, removes the ability to have specific call to action split tests, which is not fun, but if you're an e-commerce brand, it's not really the end of the world. And it also creates combinations of different creative formats in different ways. And you're not able to customize them to specific placements like you were able to in certain instances with dynamic creative. So those are really the big major differences. So very, very similar to dynamic creative, but if you are used to dynamic creative in that structure, it's time to get used to the flexible ad format. And it's really important to know because anytime Facebook rolls out a new feature, right, like when they did with dynamic creative, they really were pushing positive performance on that. Like whether or not you had the same variables as your static ad and your non-dynamic creative tests, or you had wildly different ones, the performance side by side was just always better for dynamic creative. And it's getting better for things like the Advantage Plus shopping campaign, where Facebook is moving towards kind of autonomy. So if you don't adapt to the changes and you don't lean on where Facebook wants you to go as an advertiser, you're going to get left behind. So here's a great video that kind of highlights the differences. In my opinion, he kind of downplays it because there are a couple of other nuances outside of just the call to action, but I'll play this so you get a better understanding of kind of how this is going to work and impact your business.
Dynamic creative will be going away soon. Until then, using dynamic creative will enable the flexible ad format. If you're not familiar with flexible ad format, it behaves a lot like dynamic creative. One primary difference is that it's controlled within the ad, rather than applying dynamic creative to all ads within an ad set. Within the ad, under format, select flexible. Then you can upload up to 10 images or videos, 5 primary text options, 5 headlines, and 5 descriptions. The only problem is that flexible ad format does not include the ability to provide up to 5 CTA button options. This is a unique feature of dynamic creative, and I just recorded a video about it. It never made a whole lot of sense to offer both dynamic creative and flexible ad formats since they're so similar. Hopefully Meta will add the ability to test multiple CTA button options to flexible ad formats. Don't forget to subscribe to Cornerstone Advertising.
Yeah, so One of the things that I failed to mention that he just reminded me of is that now dynamic creative used to be at the kind of campaign and ad set level, and now what flexible format is just at the ad level, right? So before, you would have had to create an individual ad group or ad set for each dynamic creative that you want to go ahead and launch. And now you can have that centralized under one ad set if you wanted to. So before, if you're not doing dynamic creative or flexible format, you would have one campaign. Let's say you have one ad set that's broad and targeting no interests. And underneath that, you have 3 singular ads, right? So you have video 1, you have image 1, and you have image 2. Now what you can, with dynamic creative rather, you would take that one audience, you would have one ad set, and you would combine all of those creative formats into just one dynamic creative ad. But if you wanted to make another one, you'd have to duplicate that ad set, and you'd have to swap in new dynamic creative variables. Now with flexible format, you can have one ad set, and underneath one singular ad associated with that ad set, you're able to have the flexible formatting, again, similar to the dynamic creative variables that we were just talking about. And you're actually able to house multiple of those in just one ad set. In my opinion, I like this a lot more because it gives advertisers the opportunity to consolidate their accounts further. And in Facebook's eyes, and from the mouths of Facebook's algorithm developers themselves, consolidation is the way of the future. And so if you have 20 campaigns running around and a million different ads, then consider simplifying and consolidating your account structure. So as you can see, we're still in that kind of period of limbo with this account and some of the other accounts we're on, where we have dynamic creative, but we also have flexible format, right? So with flexible format, you can see that you can upload media up to 10. You can upload 5 primary text, 5 primary headlines, and 5 different description formats. Now, Facebook also has this sneaky advantage plus creative optimizations. So that's when Facebook can do all of these things. And I've seen them add the weirdest audio to images or to videos to try to have them perform better. So I personally recommend turning this off in the beginning. And then when you find winning variations of creatives, you can kind of add that in later, because that's where Facebook really does go crazy and just testing different things based on their AI that's like not quite there yet for the creative variations, but is definitely there and on the way to like full autonomy and really, really good from a targeting perspective. So that's pretty much it. Just wanted to update you guys on the changes between dynamic creative and flexible format. Nothing to lose sleep over, but it is something to take note of if you've been running a lot of dynamic creative, because you're going to have to do things a little bit differently. But as always, with every update that Facebook does, it is with the intention of getting better performance from advertisers and simplifying the advertising experience. So definitely make sure to stay on top of this new flexible format. Don't get too comfortable with your current dynamic creatives in your account. And other than that, happy advertising.